Hey, social studies buddies. Happy November 18th. I'm sorry I'm not in class today, but I did want to provide y'all with a quick explanation of what we're doing. And also, happy Hat Day, Spirit Week. We're going to talk about the geography of ancient Egypt today. And as usual, I provided you with a set of notes. There is going to be one thing that's a little bit tricky with the map that I'm going to ask you to do on your own, but you're going to have a copy of these notes. And on the slideshow, I do go in order and I do give you little hints of where everything is. So kind of going through, we all know that Egypt is in Africa, but we need to start to designate a more specific place. It is in Northeast Africa. I circled it here. And when we look at the actual picture of it from space, the Sahara Desert is the world's hottest desert. It is bigger than the United States, meaning it's more than 3,000 miles across. This is the Nile River here. You can actually see it from space. We're going to zoom in a little bit more and look at it again. Nile River Delta, Nile River, Red Sea. Upper Egypt would have been situated here, Lower Egypt here, and we'll kind of get into what that means in a minute. This map is the one thing that I'm going to ask you to do on your own. You do need to, on a piece of paper or your own Google Doc below your notes, write features and label 1 through 7. So you're going to need to know that feature 1 is the Nile River. Feature 4 is the Nile River Delta, Red Sea, and we're going to get into each one of these in a minute. So on your own, you need to have features 1 through 7 written, and we will detail these tomorrow on Thursday. The first feature we're going to look at is the Nile River. This is extremely important. Again, it flows north, which is weird. We feel like the river should flow south, but it actually flows north. The Nile River flows north, it ends in the Mediterranean Sea, and it's the longest river in the world. It floods, but as we know from the video, the Egyptians based their calendars on the floods because they were so predictable. This is the major thing that we need to take from the slide. We need to understand that it deposited silt. It replenished the soil with nutrients. So those rains might have been devastating, but they replenished all of the nutrients in the soil. Silt built up from the mouth of the river, forming a delta. That's that triangular shaped deposit of rich soil where all of the silt collects. You can tell by the contrast. Look, it's a giant green area in the middle or to the north of the world's largest desert. It's crazy. The next thing we need to look at is the Red Sea. The way that I remember it is the Red Sea is that slug. It's like, here's the slug's body, there's its little antennas. But the Red Sea is important, and we'll talk about how it got its name tomorrow. But the Red Sea lies between Africa and Asia. It's really, really long and not that wide. It's almost 1,400 miles long and only 200 miles wide. The Mediterranean Sea is all the way to the north. The Mediterranean is important because it connects Africa, Europe, and Asia. The Mediterranean Sea also connects to the Atlantic Ocean. Here's a Google Earth image, and here's another map of the Mediterranean connecting Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, and Europe all together. The Mediterranean Sea is very important. Yes, you need to know how to spell it. This is the Nile Delta. Again, the Nile Delta is a triangle-shaped deposit of rich soil at the top of a river's mouth. Usually forms many smaller rivers because of the silt deposit. The Nile River is very fertile and great for growing crops because of this delta. The Sinai Peninsula is right here to the east of the Nile River Delta. The Sinai Peninsula is a small strip of land between Africa and Asia. The Mediterranean Sea lies to the north and the Red Sea to the south. Again, another Google image picture for you. Lower Egypt, this is what's weird, okay? Lower Egypt is on top and Upper Egypt is to the south. That's what's weird. Don't they look like they should be flipped? Although to the north it was called Lower Egypt because it was all low-lying lands. It was flat. It was great for growing crops, great for farmland. Um, and it formed the delta. The Nile River, the influence of the geography on the situation, it provided natural barriers, okay? The Mediterranean Sea to the north, the desert to the west, the Red Sea to the east. That meant that they were only susceptible to invasion through the Sinai Peninsula. Essentially, they could see enemies coming from the Mediterranean, coming from the Red Sea, and they could set up defenses. If they were coming from the Sinai Desert, then their armies would have been tired from traveling through it, and the Egyptians would have been better apt to fight them off. Um, and that's just kind of what I went over, go over that in detail. The benefits, the river served as a highway, not only for goods, but for information. People were able to travel up and down the Nile and spread their culture, their influences, and their information. Um, these are what we're going to start with by answering tomorrow, so I'm not going to go over them today. Again, you should have made this list of features on your own, or you could have made it at the bottom of your notes. These should all be filled out, and we will go over all of them tomorrow. Good luck. I'll see y'all guys then. If you have any questions, write them down, and we will answer them tomorrow when we go over geography. Love y'all, appreciate y'all, happy hat day, and I will see y'all tomorrow.